Today on Sugar Spun Run, we'll be making homemade potato buns. Hey Sugar Spun Bakers, Sam here, and today I am so excited to be sharing another carefully tested, well-researched, and perfected recipe. I've already shared a pretty incredible burger bun recipe, but today I wanted to do something a little bit different. Potato buns are, as the name implies, and as my husband had no idea somehow, potato buns are made with potatoes. This makes them extra moist, extra soft, super tender. You are going to love them. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start today's recipe, as we would with just about any other bread, by proofing our yeast. To do this, let's combine 1/2 cup of water and 1/4 cup of whole milk. I'm just going to pop these in the microwave in about 10-15 second increments until this mixture is between 110 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, anytime you microwave something, you can end up with hot pockets of liquid, so you always want to give this a quick little stir before you take the temperature. All right, this is perfect, so I'm going to add this to a large bowl that I'll be making my dough in. If you want to use a stand mixer, check out my printable recipe where I include instructions on how to do that. Today we're just doing it by hand. All right, next you're going to need 2½ teaspoons of active dry yeast. I'm gonna shake all that in there. Now for today's recipe, you need 3 tablespoons of granulated sugar total. We're just gonna take a pinch of that, I'd say about a teaspoon, and just sprinkle it over the yeast. And then I like to just stir everything together so that yeast is nicely combined with the milk and water. And we're going to let this sit for about 5 to 10 minutes or until we get a nice foamy cap on top. This is looking perfect. If your yeast doesn't look like this, most likely it's dead, or maybe you used a liquid that's too hot and you accidentally killed it. Either way, you do not want to go any further until you have yeast that looks just like this. Now I'm just going to add the rest of my granulated sugar, and remember it's 3 tablespoons total. And I'm also going to add 2 tablespoons of firmly packed light brown sugar. Potato bread is a slightly sweeter bread, so that's why there's more sugar than your average bread recipe. If you don't like a sweeter bread, you can reduce this to just 2 tablespoons of sugar. That would be fine. We're also going to add 1 large egg and 1 large egg yolk. That extra yolk helps make the bread nice and tender. 6 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter, 1½ teaspoons of salt, and then of course our potatoes. Now you're going to be using unflavored mashed potatoes. You can either boil them and then mash them, you can make a baked potato and use that instead. I find I usually need about 1/2 pound of potatoes to get a cup of mashed potatoes. And you don't want this to be super hot when you add it to the rest of your dough, but you don't want it to be cold either, because I found that that makes it really difficult to incorporate the ingredients. So this is 1 cup. Now for today's recipe, I have measured out 4 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm just going to add, I don't know, about a cup and a half, just a small portion of this flour in with my other ingredients. And I'm going to stir everything together until it's pretty well combined. You're going to find that as you're mixing everything, there are going to be some lumps in your potatoes no matter how well you mashed them. Well, I don't know, maybe you're better at mashing potatoes than I am, but I always have a couple of lumps. I am going to mash these with my spatula as I go to try to work them out, but as we knead the dough, as we move along with the recipe, they should just kind of evenly incorporate into the dough. All right, now we are going to gradually add more of our flour. As with any bread recipe, you may not need all 4 cups, or you might need more. We're going to be going based off of the consistency of the dough, and I'll show you what that looks like, of course. So I'm just gonna add some more of my flour and keep on mixing. And since I'm doing this by hand, I'm just going to mix until basically I can't mix it anymore. I want to make sure the dough is still absorbing flour. And you can see right here I have a dough that's pretty dry. I'm actually struggling to get this flour completely incorporated in the dough, but at the same time I know I haven't overdone it. I know that it's going to work in. To make things easy for myself, I'm going to transfer this to a clean, lightly floured surface, and I'm going to start the kneading process. Now we're going to knead this dough for about 5 to 10 minutes. If you're using a stand mixer, it's only gonna be about 5 minutes. And we are just looking for a consistency that's smooth and elastic. Now, as we knead this dough, you are going to need to add more flour. That's totally fine. If it's really sticking to your hands, if it's really sticking to the surface, add flour as needed. Remember, we've measured out those 4 cups. Most likely you're going to need to use all 4 cups and then possibly even a little bit more. Okay, so we are going for a dough that is smooth and elastic in consistency. It should still be a little bit sticky and tacky to the touch. So let's take a look. This is actually in pretty good shape. I've been kneading it for about 8 minutes at this point. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a large bowl, make sure it's large enough that this dough is going to have room to double. And I'm just going to lightly oil the bowl with a little bit of olive oil. And we'll just turn the dough so that the entire surface just gets a really light coating of olive oil. And then cover that with some plastic wrap. Now I do want to point out real quick, this is what's left of my 4 cups of flour that we started with. I've had days where I've needed to use the full 4 cups and then some. Today, we were fine with, I'd say we probably ended up using 3.5 to 3 3/4 cups. Now set this in a warm place where we're going to let it rise until it's doubled in size. This can take 1 to 2 hours and can depend on how warm your kitchen is. All right, our dough is looking beautiful. It's been about an hour and a half here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to gently deflate the dough. It's gonna be pretty sticky, that's totally fine. We are just going to take it out of the bowl and transfer it to a clean, lightly floured surface. I found this dough is great for making about 10 burger buns, perfect for fitting your burger on. So we are just going to evenly divide this into 10 pieces. And I don't know what I was thinking here because this is only gonna make me 4 rolls if I divide it evenly. So I'll make it work. We're gonna get 10 even rolls out of this dough. So it's nice and sticky. We're gonna work pretty quickly. I did get my 10 here, and I'm going to form each into a ball. Now, if you have a baking sheet that these will all fit on, that's great. It's okay even if they touch each other a little bit, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm going to be using 2 baking sheets, 2 separate ones, and I've lined each with parchment paper. Now cover this with a clean towel and place these rolls in a warm, dry place where you're going to want them to rise again until they've increased in size at least 50%. This is usually about 25-30 minutes for me. While they're rising, go ahead and preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, our oven is preheated. Our rolls have been rising, so let's take a look at them. These are looking big and beautiful. They could go in the oven just like this, or you can brush them with a little bit of melted salted butter, or to get a really nice golden brown exterior, you can brush them with a little bit of egg wash, which is what I am going to be doing today. This is just 1 egg whisked together with a teaspoon of water. We'll use a pastry brush to just very lightly brush the rolls. You don't want to apply too much pressure or you'll deflate them. And we'll take these over to our preheated oven where they're only going to need to bake for about 12 minutes. Now keep in mind, if you've put all of your rolls on the same baking sheet, they are going to take a bit more time. When they're finished baking, they should be a nice golden brown color. Okay, these are looking beautiful. Of course, you want to let them cool a little bit before you dig in. Once they've cooled, we can go ahead and cut into one so you can see that beautiful interior. I feel like looking at it this way doesn't really do justice to the rolls. Let's go ahead and rip one in half so you can see how really soft and squishy and fluffy they are. And squishy in a good way, like a really squishy soft bread. And that is how you make super soft homemade potato buns. These are perfect for your burgers. Make them for your next summer cookout. I think you're really going to love them. If you tried this recipe, please let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.